This is the CBS Evening News. Susan Spencer sitting in tonight for Connie Chung. Good evening. The threat is clear. American hostage Lieutenant Colonel William Higgins will die tomorrow morning unless Israel releases the Muslim cleric it kidnapped last week. That terrifying promise to hang Higgins at 8 a.m. Eastern Time came from an obscure pro-Iranian group based in Lebanon. But as Bob Simon reports, the Israelis are in no mood to back down.
The Israeli cabinet was unrepentant this morning. Despite mounting international criticism of the kidnapping, Israeli officials defended the action and suggested that the various condemnations might not be as serious as they seem.
Well, I believe that this is one of those events about which you have to condemn them publicly and admire them privately.
But the defiance turned to silence when the ultimatum was issued. Defense Minister Moshe Aarons had nothing to say. Neither did Labour Party leader Shimon Peres.
No, I don't have any comments.
Analysts say the threat to Higgins, issued by the self-styled Organization of the Oppressed of the World, seemed to come from the same group that sent at least 11 prior communiques this past year. But it was not accompanied by a photograph. The group said it had evidence that Higgins, kidnapped in southern Lebanon 17 months ago, worked for the CIA and coordinated attacks against Muslims with the Israelis. In Tehran today, Iran's interior minister warned that Islamic groups all over the world will retaliate against Israel and the United States for Sheikh Obed's abduction. It said the kidnapping revealed the ugly face of Zionism and its U.S. backers. President Bush did not comment tonight, but the White House issued a statement saying that the kidnappers of American hostages in Lebanon will be held fully responsible for their safety. Top Israeli officials have decided to say nothing and do nothing tonight in response to the ultimatum. Sources in Jerusalem say that so far the United States has asked for nothing but information. These same sources say that Israel is prepared for heavy retaliation if Higgins is in fact executed, that the price for his death will be very high. But behind this hard line, Israelis are concerned tonight, worried that this could turn out very badly, not only for Higgins, but for relations between the United States and Israel. Bob Simon, CBS News, Tel Aviv.
The Israeli Supreme Court today sided with Palestinians, upset with the military's habit of leveling the homes of people allegedly engaged in anti-Israeli activities. The High Court ruled that the military has to notify homeowners in the occupied territories before troops move in, and then give them time to appeal. Change is coming fast in the Soviet Union, but for some 300 new radical members of the Soviet parliament, change is not fast enough. As Barry Peterson reports, the group formally organized today at an historic and astonishing session in Moscow.
They were making the kind of history Lenin himself had banned. He outlawed factions within this nation's parliament shortly after the revolution. And Lenin would have been absolutely livid about the resolutions this group passed today. Most specifically, they pledged to eliminate the article in the Soviet Constitution that makes the Communist Party supreme in all things in this country. No more, said these deputies. I think it's a very serious change in our country, said Boris Yeltsin, because this is an official organ. It's an alternative. Other parts of their platform give workers the rights to buy their factories, end the government monopoly on television, set specific terms of office for everyone, including the man at the top. The group today chose not a leader, but 5 men at their head, a sort of alternative Politburo. Among them, Andrei Sakharov, who did not attend the conference, Yeltsin, and one of the Soviet Union's leading economists. He called for a special meeting of the whole Congress of Deputies to change the election laws, to make them more democratic, to make them a real free-for-all. This group represents only about a seventh of the new Congress, not enough to override the mainline party majority. But what they lack in parliamentary numbers, they make up for in popular support, because they speak for the people at a time when more and more the people are being heard. Barry Peterson, CBS News, Moscow.
The U.S. and Vietnam today announced an agreement to let thousands of former South Vietnamese officials and military officers emigrate to the United States. Many spent years in so-called re-education camps following the 1975 communist takeover. That resettlement could start as soon as October. Meanwhile, no agreement in sight for peace in Cambodia. An international conference with that as its goal opened today in Paris. Alan Pizzi reports.
Buddhist monks chanted a prayer for peace. The children of refugees demonstrated quietly
and the leaders of Cambodia's warring factions and their foreign backers came together to try and end 20 years of killing and chaos. So far, the only thing they've managed to agree on is the quality of the catered meals and the seating order. But given the complexity of the Cambodia problem, that's considered a reasonable start. Fighting has been going on all week along the Thai-Cambodia border as resistance groups try to pressure the Vietnamese-backed Cambodian government. The Khmer Rouge, who turned Cambodia into the infamous killing fields, are part of the rebel alliance at the talks, and that is seen as a serious stumbling block.
The United States strongly believes that the Khmer Rouge should play no role in Cambodia's future.
But, Baker added, if they have to be part of an interim government to achieve peace, so be it. The conference is scheduled to last a month, and some observers here believe it is the best, perhaps the only chance to bring some sort of peace to Cambodia. Right now, everyone needs to make a deal. The country's economy is in ruins. Thousands of Cambodians have fled to squalid refugee camps in neighboring Thailand, which the Khmer Rouge shell. The Vietnamese troops who prop up the government are pulling out. But, observers believe, the guerrilla resistance isn't strong enough to take over. That, plus the fact that they are all in the same room, provides some hope that prayers for peace have at least a chance of being answered. Alan Pizzi, CBS News, Paris.
Still ahead on the CBS Evening News, the infamous Exxon Valdez docks in San Diego. And later on Inside Sunday, the powers that be and the energy that isn't.
It was big.
Yeah, big.
I mean, big.
It was big. It was very, very big. But it was easy.
It's GM's biggest summer sale with cashbacks and dealer incentives on more cars and trucks than ever.
This is big. Really big. I know big. And this was big.
GM's Big Easy Sale. Over $1 billion big.
It was big. It was so big.
But it was easy.
Now at your GM dealer. Right now.
Why can't they make a stronger flea collar?
Someone has. Scratch X. Look, compared to Hearts and Sergeants, Scratch X has the power to kill twice as many fleas. Compare. All these collars kill fleas, but Scratch X has the power to kill twice as many fleas, since it's government approved to work twice as long.
Yet Scratch X is safe for 3-month-old pets.
Remember, compared to Hearts and Sergeants' 5-month collars, the Scratch X 11-month collar has the power to kill twice as many fleas.
How fast does Anbesol relieve toothache pain? Before you can say
Anbesol.
denture pain? Before you can say
Anbesol.
Anbesol stops minor mouth pain on contact. Anbesol and maximum strength Anbesol.
How strong is extra strength Tums EX? Heartburn strikes, Tums strikes back. Heartburn's gone that fast. Tums EX, twice as strong, twice as fast as regular Rolaids.
Suspected spy Felix Bloch remains secluded today in a New York City suburb that is as secluded as he could be, with FBI agents and reporters watching his every move. Reporters did manage to question Bloch as he walked his dog.
Do you feel it's unfair that even though you haven't been charged with anything, you're subjected to this kind of scrutiny?
Life is unfair.
The Los Angeles Times said today that Vice President Dan Quayle lobbied for specific U.S. companies during his spring trip to Asia. This apparently was unprecedented for a U.S. president or vice president. Quayle's spokesman defended the lobbying, though, and one former U.S. official said, well, it may help cut the trade deficit. Foreign trade is surprising topic number one at the annual National Governors Conference in Chicago. Christine Negroni reports.
Nearly all the governors meeting in Chicago this weekend are looking across the oceans. Their sights are set on foreign trade, which they see as a solution to their state's economic problems.
It used to be that the borders of a given state were those of its neighbors. Today, our borders are Brussels and Brazil and Toronto.
Governors have become globetrotters as they try to encourage outsiders to become investors.
We've been to the Far East twice. We've been to Japan, Korea, China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Singapore.
Whether you're, governor of a major state or even of a small state like Vermont, you realize that we are all players in this new global economy.
The states hope not only to sell their products overseas, but to bring foreign companies here. Half a dozen states competed for the Chrysler-Mitsubishi plant. Illinois won with an $89 million package of tax breaks and incentives. To the governors, that's a cost of doing business, but critics say it's bad business.
We're creating a subsidized competition where the profits go to another country that undermines our own local business, which is totally senseless.
In spite of those concerns, the trend is toward more trade missions and more interstate competition.
Any state that bases its economic strategy on trying to raid the neighboring state is usually in bad shape.
While the governors are discussing both economic and social matters, the one state issue everyone else is talking about is the one the governors are ignoring.
Not the church! Not the state!
The governors insist their group cannot come to an agreement on so controversial an issue. But pro-choice demonstrators outside the meeting remind them that the economic challenge is not the only challenge they face. Christine Negroni, CBS News, Chicago.
Chronic economic failure led today to a radical change in the face of communism in Mozambique. The ruling party formally abandoned Marxism in favor of a mixed economy. It also announced a new push for talks to end Mozambique's devastating civil war. Richard Wagner tells us now about a woman who has dedicated her life to helping that war's countless victims.
Sister Maria has been helping the helpless of Mozambique for more than a decade. A nurse as well as a nun, she came here from Italy. She runs a 67-bed pediatric hospital. She told us she could use 200 beds. Malaria, measles, tuberculosis, anemia, and malnutrition fill her days, and yet she says she's happy with the life she's chosen, a life given to others. The country Sister Maria is devoting herself to is large and fertile, but it's been ravaged by civil war for a dozen years. The fighting has forced millions of people off the land into refugee camps and makes the distribution of food extremely difficult. Many of the camps have become virtually cut off from the rest of the country. At one isolated camp, a 3-truck convoy recently managed to get through, bringing the first food delivery in almost a month. 20 to 30 people starve to death in Mozambique every day, and government officials concede the situation will not improve until the fighting stops.
Given the security situation, will you be able to supply peace?
For sure. For sure. So, as the war continues, so does the work of Sister Maria. She herself has been afflicted with some of the diseases she treats, but she has no thoughts of leaving. Mozambique needs many things. Peace and more Sister Marias lead the list. Richard Wagner, CBS News, Anchilo, Mozambique.
The delicious crunch of crackling oat bran has gotten you in trouble again. How do you defend yourself?
Did you eat all the crackling oat bran?
I don't have to answer that.
Did you eat all the crackling oat bran?
Well, you're the one holding the box.
Did you eat all the crackling oat bran?
What crackling oat bran?
With the irresistibly sweet taste of Kellogg's crackling oat bran, an open box is an empty box.
This compact machine is blindingly, dizzyingly fast.
Look, if we reduce the drag, what, 0.3?
0.3 is good. Compact. It's the muscle car of computers.
Now, let's make it a convertible. One convertible coming up.
Compaq has emerged as a leader as well as an innovator.
What's the rest of Detroit going to think?
They better think fast.
Only Red Lobster could create an event this big. Lobster Fest 89. Lobster choices like nowhere else, starting at just $7.95. Get ready to savor sweet rock lobster or luscious Maine lobster. New platters like lobster and crab. Great lobster dishes starting at just $7.95. Kids dinner $1.95. Don't miss Lobster Fest now at Red Lobster. Friday through Sunday, it's our weekend special. Steak and shrimp just $10.95.
Fires in 4 western states have destroyed nearly 90,000 acres of forest just since Wednesday. In California today, a fire in the Sierra Nevada foothills was reported to be 70% under control. That fire destroyed several homes in Fresno County and forced the evacuation of hundreds of residents. Elsewhere in California, a symbol of another environmental disaster, the tanker that caused the worst oil spill in U.S. history docked in San Diego for repairs. CBS newsman Scott Pelley was there.
After a long exile at sea, the Exxon Valdez returned home early this morning, escorted slowly into San Diego Harbor. The now empty giant was swarmed by a flotilla of spectators and protesters.
It's a gigantic ship. It's bigger than a brontosaurus, but it's got one thing in common. They're both dinosaurs, and they represent a fossil fuel energy policy whose time has passed.
The ship's return comes 4 months after the 11 million gallon spill that devastated the Alaskan coast. She stood off California 3 weeks while authorities determined there was no environmental hazard. Still, Exxon posted a $20 million bond for permission to enter the harbor.
It's taken us 4 months to get here, but we've done it safely, we've done it carefully, and we're very, very pleased to have it back here.
The Exxon Valdez returns to the shipyard that created her. Repairs will take 9 months and cost $25 million. No changes in the design are planned, but there may be one noticeable difference. Exxon is considering whether to change the name that has become synonymous with environmental disaster. Scott Pelley, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Subaru would like to apologize to the residents of Casa Grande, Arizona, where we drove the all-new Subaru Legacy at speeds averaging 138 miles per hour, 24 hours a day for over 60,000 miles. That's about 2.5 times around the world. Until we set a new world speed endurance record. If you're listening, Casa Grande, thank you.
With low back pain, every step shoots pain. Up here. Know what helps?
Clinically proven Back Guard, a shoe insert. Watch how it absorbs foot shock to relieve low back pain.
Amazing. Something down here can help up here.
Back Guard from Dr. Scholl's.
In the mountains of Colombia, they celebrate the land for creating the richest coffee in the world. New Maxwell House Colombian Supreme Coffee. 100% Colombian richness in every drop.
What's in a name? The Kemper name means the security of solid insurance protection. For your life, home, business, and auto. Even reinsurance protection. But Kemper's more than insurance. It's Kemper financial products, like mutual funds, annuities, and money market funds. Working to bring you better tomorrows. Insurance and investments. Ask for them by name. Kemper.
President Bush has just ordered his energy secretary to come up with a new solution for an old problem. Tonight on Inside Sunday, energy, the shrinking supply and the growing demand. The president says the United States needs a new policy before the next energy crisis, and there are signs that it may already be on the way, gas lines and all. Remember?
I guess I just don't think about it, you know. I drive, and if it takes more gas, I buy.
How quickly we forget. Gone are the memories of the energy crisis of the 70s. The oil embargo, the lines at service stations, the out-of-sight gas prices.
You got to go to 3 stations. It takes over 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours to get gas.
We're heading back to harm's way. We're heading back to the dangerous situation that we were in the late 70s.
Could the 1990s bring another energy crunch? Quite possible, the experts say. For one thing, the U.S. today imports 45% of its oil, almost as much as before the 70s crisis. Almost half of that goes for gasoline, and no wonder. This country is proud home to 1/3 of all the cars in the world.
In a few years, we'll be importing over half our oil. An increasing amount of that oil is coming from parts of the world we consider insecure. That's not good for the country. It's not a good trend line.
Not only is the U.S. again vulnerable to foreign cutoff of oil, American oil production is at its lowest point in 25 years. The U.S. producers claim that low prices and environmental headaches discourage new ventures.
As we move into the 90s, the world's demand for oil in total will put
significant strain on OPEC's production capacity, and the prices are going to rise.
If it goes, you know, like $3-4 a gallon, I think I'll quit driving.
Faced with the possibility of $4 gas means having to face tough choices. How to balance environmental concerns with energy needs, how to encourage production, and perhaps hardest of all, how to change people's attitudes about conservation to make them see that the threat of a return to long lines and high prices is very real.
They're going to keep going up no matter what I do anyway, so I might not be around tomorrow. I might as well enjoy today.
And estimates are that demand for electrical energy will grow more than 2% a year through the turn of the century. The strain on suppliers already is evident. A heat wave in the Northeast last week forced power companies to ask for voluntary conservation to avoid brownouts. Norman Robinson reports now on electricity, the supply, the demand, and the generation gap.
In terms of this summer, we may be in a situation where we have rolling brownouts. I don't know that we have any way around it.
Brownouts, the deliberate shutdown of some power by utility companies when unusually high demand threatens to overload the system. Brownouts occur in areas like New England where the strain is most severe. Hot weather makes the problem worse. And in Boston, an intense heat wave has already pushed power systems close to the edge.
We warn people that if something does happen, big machines do trip offline, that we could be in a voltage reduction.
The New England region alone this week reached its highest summer demand ever, as 12.5 million residents consumed close to 20,000 megawatts in just an hour.
That's the equivalent to a day's output of 20 nuclear power plants. And it's this increasing demand in the face of fewer plants that has some people worried.
We are a tight power system.
There's going to be a blackout.
Because of a booming economy, the Northeast has seen a huge increase in commercial and residential development, which means communities have a need for more electricity. Suppliers say conservation is key.
We must convince the consumer that conservation and load management must be a part of the energy supply planning for the future of this country.
Boston Edison already has over 25 conservation programs in place that pay businesses like Quinzani's Bakery to generate their own juice during peak demand.
We're a wholesale bakery and we can't afford to be without electricity.
The Quinzanis bought their own electrical generator fueled by oil 2 years ago. They bake off their own power at least twice a month during the summer. For Larry Quinzani, the incentive is in the dough. He gets $10,000 a year.
And this has worked very well for us.
But experts warn that conservation alone is not enough.
Because we are experiencing growth between 3 and 4% a year now in electricity, and I don't see that abating at all in the near future.
But the cost of building power plants is prohibitive. Added to that is the fact that no one wants a plant in their backyard. Experts say without some new facilities in the near future, lights could continue to go out as brownouts become a way of life. Norman Robinson, CBS News, Boston.
Coming up next, selling the public on the safety of atomic energy. But is the public buying? Inside Sunday continues in a moment on the CBS Evening News.
It was big.
Yeah, big.
I mean, big.
It was big. It was very, very big. But it was easy.
It's GM's biggest summer sale with cashbacks and dealer incentives on more cars and trucks than ever.
This is big. Really big. I know big. And this was big.
GM's Big Easy Sale. Over $1 billion big.
It was big. It was so big.
But it was easy.
Now at your GM dealer. Right now.
Ever since Unisom, people have abandoned their old sleep medicine. Because medical tests prove people fall asleep faster and sleep better all night with Unisom than without. Take Unisom for faster, better sleep.
Got a flat tire. Now my stomach's on fire. My day. My Lanta, too.
Introducing My Lanta 2 Roll Packs for double strength acid relief wherever you are.
Because my life takes My Lanta, too.
Now, new scientific tests prove Heart's Blockade Repellent gives your pet total protection against fleas and ticks, or your money back. Unsolicited, here's what some satisfied Blockade users have told us.
My golden retriever suffered with fleas and ticks. Heart's Blockade solved the problem. It really works.
I'm so pleased with Heart's Blockade. I have 3 dogs and 7 cats and raise basset hounds who have always had a flea problem until I use Blockade. It's terrific.
Heart's Blockade, guaranteed flea and tick protection that really works.
One answer to growing energy demand is, of course, nuclear power. There's a limitless supply, but also an endless public fear. In England, officials are trying to sell the public on the safety of an atomic energy plant that was the site of the country's worst nuclear accident more than 30 years ago. Martha Teichner reports.
The English Lake District, made famous by poet William Wordsworth. 'Tis the sense of majesty and beauty and repose, he said, a blended holiness of earth and sky. But Wordsworth's scenic countryside is no longer the biggest tourist attraction in the Lake District. Sellafield is.
This year, millions of people will be invited by British Nuclear Fuels to come and see for themselves.
Sellafield is a nuclear power plant, which also reprocesses radioactive waste. Its open-door policy intended to improve the image of a controversial industry.
If there was an overheating situation in the reactor, well then these control rods would simply drop and the reactor would be dead.
The visitor center cost $8 million. Sellafield spends almost that much every year to keep the public pouring in.
We're attempting to try and allay people's fears and concerns of what really is the unknown to them.
By the fact that they're spending so much money on all this, I think most people feel that they're only having to do that because they've got something to hide.
6-year-old Ronald Marr is one of 30 leukemia victims represented by Day in a lawsuit against Sellafield. Childhood leukemia around the plant is 10 times the national average. Sellafield claims radiation is not the cause.
We're not looking for glorified compensation or anything like that. If it is from Sellafield, to make it safe, find out what it is that's causing this.
And money can't buy health. Money can't buy my little lad's health.
Getting tired, lad? Huh?
Chris Merlin used to live along the beach just south of Sellafield. He had the contents of his vacuum cleaner bag tested and found alarming radiation levels, in one case 17,000 times higher than expected.
I think that in 10 or 15 years' time, families are going to say, Mum and Dad, did you realise what Sellafield was really doing? When the genetic defects and so on really become known.
Visitors to the plant are just as uneasy. They come away impressed, but not necessarily convinced.
It's propaganda to try and convince us that it's safe, and we all know it's not.
I don't really consider anything nuclear safe.
Nearly 15,000 people work at Sellafield. Without it, unemployment in the area would be 80%. They have a vested interest in proving to the public that critics of the plant are wrong. Martha Teichner, CBS News, Sellafield.
There are, of course, alternatives to nuclear energy and fossil fuels. So-called renewable energy, such as hydro and solar power, now accounts for nearly 10% of the total U.S. energy supply, and that could double by the turn of the century. Energy Secretary James Watkins says he hopes to have an energy strategy on paper by next April. He will hold the first in a series of hearings this Tuesday in Washington. That's the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather will be here tomorrow, and later on tonight, Bill Plant with the CBS Sunday Night News. I'm Susan Spencer in New York. Have a nice evening.
I'm Harry Smith. This week, the music of B.B. King, and we'll meet Tom Hanks' canine star from Turner and Hooch, and Melody Thomas of The Young and the Restless on CBS This Morning.
This is CBS.
Good evening.